You are now tuned into the People Before Politics radio show, brought to you by the good folks at
Black Westchester, Black Westchester, Black Westchester, Black Westchester. Check the newspaper. Black Westchester, Black Westchester, Black Westchester. Check the newspaper.
Real Talk for the Community since 2014.
Yeah.
Yes. You are tuned into Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show, episode 320. Our first portion of the show, we were dealing with redistricting. Dealing with people should pick their politicians. Voters should pick their volunteers, not the other way around. For too long, elected officials, politicians have been picking their voters. And a lot of that is through redistricting, and we wanted to get that in. Now, for the second part of the show, we have friend of the show, Miss Lauren Carter, former Mount Vernon deputy city clerk. I said clerk before. Deputy clerk. She's put in a lot of work in Mount Vernon. She ran in the primary. She is a Democrat, but she is running in the general election on the Working Family Party line. Working Family Party often picks Democrats that they feel are more in line with their progressive agenda, and they have endorsed Miss Lauren Carter. She will be on the ballot in the general election. This general election coming up. We got early voting starting in about the 23rd, and then you have the election on what day is the election?
November 2nd.
Tuesday, November 2nd. So welcome back to the show. The last look at Lauren Carter. Why should now? I want to ask you. Okay, so most Democrats, and I've seen that here with the cities, especially, but overall, most Democrats, when there's a primary, they vote for who they vote for, and then going into the general election, anybody who's not the one who won in the primary, I've seen those campaigns try to color the person as not a Democrat, like you're not a Democrat no more. You're just coming in from another party or whatever. I want you to explain you are a Democrat. You're running on the Working Family Party, and reintroduce you to those who may not know you.
Yes. Well, first of all, may I just say kudos to Louis and Tiffany for being on the show, bringing all of this to our attention, and for their passion, their commitment. Now, for those of you who may not know me, as AJ said, I'm Lauren Carter. I am a candidate for city council in the general election. And I'm a Democrat running on the Working Families Party line. I am in the race. I'm still in the race because Mount Vernon really has so many challenges. We know what they are. We know about our aging sewer system. There's a crumbling infrastructure here. We have police officers leaving in droves, leaving our community susceptible to increased crime, because sometimes the criminals know that there may not be a quick response from our police officers. Police officers are leaving in droves. I've spoken to fire personnel. They're next. They said they're next to start leaving the city. We have so many challenges that we need someone that can get into office and hit the ground running from day one. I have the experience. I worked for the city for over 17 years, started in planning, and then moved over to work for the legislative branch for the city council. And I really believe that I'm the best person for the job. Of the people that are running for city council, I truly believe I'm the best one for the job. I've been working in the community for 30 years, silently at times, whether it was against protesting against Black on Black violence that, we experienced in the 90s, volunteering at not-for-profits and civic organizations, faith-based organizations here in Mount Vernon, paying it forward, helping people. I've been on the ground working, and people know me. They know that I'm a service-oriented individual, that I'm not in this to be a celebrity. I'm not in this for fame or title, to take up a seat. But I'm in this because Mount Vernon needs help. And I know that with my background in policy and planning, I can help this city.
Now I want to say something. And this is no disrespect to any other candidate in the race. We see candidates run together on tickets.
Yes.
Sometimes, and I'm not saying that's happening now, but sometimes we've seen one or two candidates sneak in who were just in because they were on a ticket. And again, we're not speaking about anybody in particular, but I've seen that in the past at Mount Vernon, and I will not go back and name names. There's no, I've had those conversations with those individuals. I've always on Black Westchester, pretty much it pisses off everybody who runs on a ticket. I don't believe that we should just go for tickets. I think we should go and vote for best people in every position. Yeah. So we have 3 people that won the primary and they're on a ticket. And you're also running as well. You're not running against any of them. You're running for one of the 3 seats. Yeah. Talk about why, now I've heard, now let me be real. You said people know you, and let me be real. A lot of people, I knew some people that they really didn't know you. There was other candidates that had more extensive campaigns and more, got out more. I guess they got the word more out, social media, whatever. There were some people, they knew that you were the deputy clerk. They knew they've seen you around, but they didn't know you. You know what I'm saying? So to those people, what do you say?
To the people that didn't know me, I will say that, as I said before, I'm a service-oriented individual. I know that a person who is working for government, whether they're an elected official, an appointed official, or civil service personnel, we're all public servants. We're there to serve the public. So I'm not in it for self-interest or self-gain. I'm in this because Mount Vernon right now, the city is facing some very challenging situations, and we need experienced, emotionally intelligent people to get in. And more importantly, we need folks that are uncompromised and people that will be an independent thinker. And when I say an independent thinker, some folks will say, oh, you want to do your own thing. No, I don't want to be an obstructionist. That's not who I am. But I also don't want to be a rubber stamp. In democracy, in society, there has to be a discussion and healthy debate, because no 2 people are going to agree on everything. It is unrealistic to think that because a certain ticket ran together, whatever ticket it is, and they say, oh, well, all the fighting will stop and, all the disagreements. No, because you have households that don't agree. You have husband and wives that don't agree.
You have no idea. You have no idea how many times me and Dr. Bob don't agree, and me and David don't agree. But behind the scenes, the stuff that y'all will never get to see. But yeah.
Well, yeah, you keep it behind closed doors, right? Yeah. Behind the camera. But that's the key. That's what the officials have to do. But it's unrealistic to think that people are not going to disagree. But the key is to have a debate, a healthy debate, and a discussion on the issues. And I will say on compromise, because that's one of the reasons why the Working Families Party endorsed me, because I said I'm not going to accept money from super PACs. That's the question they ask, or special interest groups or lobbyists, whatever the case may be. So that way, when I'm in office, I'm not beholden to those groups. I'm beholden to the people. And so we see a lot of times that certain things can't get done because people's hands are tied. They took money from certain people and certain groups, and now they can't vote certain ways that are right because that's being held over their head.
So let me ask you. One of our listeners asked a question. I'm gonna kind of remix it a little bit. Basically, So you even though you didn't run on a ticket with other people, and even though three people told you how great they can work together, um, you're going to have to rely on working relationships with different people. So you can't, because one vote you can't get anything done. You know what I'm saying? To get what you want done, can you work? One of the problems that we've seen so far in Mount Vernon, and since Black Westchester has been in existence for 7 years, if you count Andre Wallace, we've had four mayors, one, two, three, four. We've had, not counting the three these three positions right now, up to this point, we've had 13 or 14 individuals in city council, and we've had two controllers. And every time in every election, your Richard Thomas told us that he could work with everybody. Sean Patterson Howard said she would be the person to bring things back to normal, kind of like Biden and everything. Every council person that runs was talking about they can work with everybody. But there has been a civil war in City Hall that has not only didn't get better, it has gotten worse. Mm-hmm. You were clerk on and some of that time, deputy clerk some of that time, so some people that are on the council, well, I think one left. If you'd have to work with one who was trying to get you out as deputy clerk. So I want you to answer, can you work with, why should people vote for you? Can you work with the other people? Can you, move in and out and get things done? So far we haven't seen too much of that in the 7 years that Black Westchester has been in existence.
Well, again, I have a track record of being able to work with all of those, and thank you for the stats. Those four mayors, those 13 council people, those two controllers that we had. I'm the one with the track record of being able to work well with everyone. People that worked with me, they know that I went into City Hall and I got the job done. I did what I was supposed to do. When the public came for, they had questions or they had concerns, they needed assistance, that's what I was there for. That's what I did. And if I didn't have the answers, I would refer them to who could help them. So I have the track record of being able to work with everyone. Now, there's one thing for people to say they can do it, but do you know if they can? Even the ticket that is saying that they can work well with one another, how do we know that? Just because they said it? Have they worked with each other before? I don't think they have. So they can say that when they're running, but it's totally different once you get into the seat. So, I mean, and it's not just me that people should question that. They should also question the folks that are running, because I don't think that they have a history of working together. So how do we know that they can do it just because they told us and because they ran on a ticket together? No. And certainly, as you said, one of the council people who may have had a hand in me being fired, yes, I can work with that person as well. Because for me, I see things as opportunities, as stepping stones. So all that did was help me to see that I need to be going to the next level. So really that was a hand in helping me to do what I'm doing, to go back and complete my master's in planning, which was a passion that I have. And a lot of the issues you talked about, those are centered around planning. I mean, you need planners, which we really don't have many in Mount Vernon. We have a part-time planner. These are the things that planners will address, making sure that we have infrastructure in our community, whether they're roads, making sure that we have transportation that is accessible, that is resilient because of the climate crises that we're in. Planners are at the forefront of this. So I'm bringing that experience, that background, and a person who's emotionally intelligent and has a track record of being able to work with folks and outside of City Hall. Federal, I had to, communicate with folks on the federal level, certainly the state level and county level. I have that track record.
So I've heard you talk about, your experience in planning. And I've actually heard some of the critics say, we're not electing you to be, we're electing you to city council, not to the planning department. Sound like she want to work for the planning department. I want you to explain why you feel your experience in planning would make you a good city council person.
Well, to be honest with you, AJ, I was the one that said that because there's another candidate that also has a master's in planning, and that was the focus that he mentioned a lot. And I was the one that said I'm running to be a council person, not the planning commissioner.
Mhm.
So, but I believe that because of the issues that we face, we need folks that can help with a plan. That's the problem that we have in Mount Vernon. We have no plans, whether it's a comprehensive plan, which is a land use plan, whether it's an economic development plan, whether it's a strategic plan. We have no plans. Everything in Mount Vernon is willy-nilly. It's just haphazard. We just do it because we do it. Or we're reactionary. We're reacting to a crisis. We're reacting to a problem instead of being proactive and planning it. And my program is my school. Well, my degree is in the School of Public Policy. See, there's certain schools. Planning may be in the architecture school. Planning may be in the social work school or social service school. But my program is in the policy school. So I'm bringing that policy background as well, where we are looking at the problems and we're coming up with solutions utilizing tools, whether they're economic development tools, whatever tools we're using collaborative governance, because that's the way that our society is moving. In order to be a successful municipality, we need to have a collaborative governance where we are working not just because the elected officials don't have all the answers. We need to work with the private sector. We need to work with civic organizations and faith-based organizations. We even need to work with philanthropic organizations to be able to solve the issues we have. And so I believe that my background and my experience can really help us. And as you said, I would be one vote, but I would be one vote that would help to move us in the right direction. And that's why I said before, even with regard to redistricting, it doesn't stop with the vote. The people of Mount Vernon have to demand better. You have to come out to the meetings, continue to be engaged and involved, and demand what's right from your elected officials. I know that many people in Mount Vernon are just disillusioned. They're frustrated. They've given up. But I just want to encourage you to please just to continue to fight. As I said yesterday at my rally, to save Mount Vernon, because it's not about us. It's about the collective community and also for future generations.
I apologize. I heard about your rally late. I wanted to go, knowing you was going to be on the show. I wanted to go see if I can get a quick video and play that on the part of the show. One of the listeners said a city is a multi-tiered element. Therefore, a city needs a plan. A planner helps because they can understand a city is more than just housing. But one of the things that intrigued me when I first saw you, and it might have even been an interview of mine with you, but I've heard you speak on it. One of my favorite lines. You can hear music going by in front of my house. Yeah. So one of the things I love the play Hamilton, and in the play there's this line talking about in the room where it happens. Everybody wants to be in the room where it happens. One of the things that I heard you articulate, you've been in the room where it happens, but you was on the wrong side of the table. So you were the person who documented everything, and now that you've been there for a while and you see how things run, you now want to be on the other side where you can actually create the legislation. Not just document the legislation other people were creating. I thought that was pretty interesting. I wanted to know if you wanted to speak on that. And then Bob, I know Bob probably has a question or two for you.
Okay. Yeah. So, as a matter of fact, I was on your show on WVOX almost
Okay.
a year. Yeah, almost a year ago. Wow, it's been a long journey. And you asked me a question, and I said, yeah, the firing let me see that, like I said before, it was an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to take the experience I have and to be able to help the city with the challenges that we face. So yes, that I was on the, I won't even say I was on the wrong side, because that side helped me to grow to be the person I am, helped me to have the experience and the knowledge that I have. But now it's time for me to not just support the decision makers and make them look good, but also to be a person who is a decision maker.
And if I said wrong side, let me pull that back.
Once
You were on the side where you documented what the legislators voted on. You know what I'm saying? You documented everything that they did, and you've done that for years, and you documented that process, and now you want to, you know what I'm saying, take that knowledge of how that works, and now be on the side of where legislation actually made.
I documented, and I also did research. I did research for them to be able to pass the legislation that they passed. I helped them to draft certain legislation. So yes, that experience helped me.
Dr. Bob.
So welcome to the show, Miss Carter. I was going to say, I've been playing a Lil Wayne lyric in chorus. Hey, Mrs. Carter.
Oh, yeah.
I think about that for about 15 minutes now. So, of course, it's wonderful to see you. Before I ask my question, Ms. Carter, I have to tell you that I've always been impressed by your steadfast, sure work ethic and poise over the past couple of years. AJ and I have had an opportunity to visit many offices in the Mount Vernon city government during a time of great tumult. And I think one thing would agree upon, we've never seen you conduct yourself anything other than a total professional. And as a matter of fact, since you announced your entrance into the race, one of the things that I've been pleased to see is how you have, in fact, grown and expanded now from being in a support role to actually being a exponent of important public policy issues. And my question is a simple one. Now that we have seen 2 years of Mayor Patterson Howard's administration, what are some of the policies where you think independent mindedness is required? Maybe policy proposals that you think the city needs to consider if it's going to address the important challenges that really have not been placed on the public agenda by the mayor or presumably by the slate of candidates that she would prefer to see elected because they will be supporting her policies.
Mm-hmm. Well, some of the policies that we need to see would be, number one, we need to get the sewers fixed. So what's the plan to fix the infrastructure here? It needs to be drawn out. It needs to be drawn out for the federal government. I know that at one point that was being worked on, but I don't know if that's still the case. I don't believe it's still the case because why I don't believe it's the case is because we've been threatened with fines by the federal government, the DOJ. And at one point, the city was making progress where the fines were not on the table because the federal government, they don't want to harm us. They don't want to hurt the city. But they just want to make sure that we get the work done. You know, we have pollution that is seeping into our waterways, the Bronx River, the Hutchinson River. So they want that to be remediated, and rightfully so. We should all want that. But when there's no plan and when they're not seeing progress, then the fines are back on the table. So because the fines are back on the table, that means that the progress that had been made has ended, has stopped. We need to get that, and we really need to get, you know, I'm not saying this about anyone or disparaging anyone, but we need to get qualified folks in positions so that they can do these jobs. Yes, sometimes we have to call on consultants, but they shouldn't be the primary the people that have the primary responsibility. It should be the people that are working at City Hall. So let's get qualified folks. Now, I can't make that decision because the mayor runs the day-to-day. The mayor hires, but certainly let's get the infrastructure completed. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. We just have to have people that are really willing to do it. We can get grants from the EPA, from the DEC. They already tried to give us grants. We can borrow up to our allocation, our CDBG allocation from HUD. It can be done. There's so many ways to do it. We just have to have people that know what to do and are willing to do it. One of the problems is we have to open up our books. We have to open up the books of the Urban Renewal Agency if we want to get those monies. And some folks don't want to do it. I don't know why. Open the books for the URA so we can get allocations in here to get the sewers fixed. It's not that difficult.
Dr. Bob.
I had something.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So, there's one thing I want to emphasize here, everyone, and I don't think our viewers should fail to seriously grapple with what I'm about to say. You know, Ms. Carter, if there was ever an instance of unqualified persons contributing to the problems of a city or organization, it has to be the recent set of persons who have served on the Mount Vernon City Council. Everyone, you know, one of the main sources of contention over the past 4 years has been a failure of anyone on the city council who seem to know what the hell needs to be done about much of anything. Mm-hmm. And one of the, I think, strongest recommendations from Ms. Carter is precisely because she has such a long tenure as deputy city clerk. She not only understands the administrative rules, but she also has a good handle on the process of actually writing legislation and has had an opportunity to see that. And I have to say, and you know, I think a lot of myself. I'm going to be honest. I think I'm a pretty learned guy. I'm never shy from saying that. But, you know, learning requires effort. And one of the things that I'm not seeing is people who actually in recent years have been elected into city council actually have any kind of experience working in local government. And with maybe one exception, you know, that's the case with the current set of candidates who are running on the Democratic slate. And I think it would be unfortunate if the residents of Mount Vernon did not give your candidacy the close look it deserves, precisely because your resume is so strong, especially in the area of city government.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. And if I may add to that, I will say that we, you know, when I say this on the campaign trail, I don't mean to disparage anyone, but I always say, you know, we have too many problems to put people in office that really don't know anything. They don't know how government operates. I always say, if this was a place like Scarsdale or Pelham, where they don't have any issues, you just go in there and make sure you got a budget. It's fine. You don't need to have experience, but the problems we have, I just gave you an example about allocating CDBG funds and things like that. And a lot of things I said in the campaign trail, some of the other candidates did was just copy what I said, but they don't know what they're talking about. They just sounded whatever. It sounded good, I guess, but they don't know how to execute on it. Like you said, Dr. Bob, I think it would be really, really unfortunate if the folks of Mount Vernon did not, like you said, consider my candidacy and what I can bring, considering all the challenges that we have in this city.
And I got to say, your proposal just now is an excellent example of the way that a background of experience and knowledge can really not only serve a newly incoming city council member well, but also the city of Mount Vernon as a whole, because AJ and I and so many other people who tune into the show and who live in the city of Mount Vernon have been absolutely frustrated about the state of financial disorder that is threatening Mount Vernon's financial stability. And we really do need people. We have major immediate problems that are going to be confronting our incoming council members on the first day that they enter into office. Yes. I think everyone must anticipate that with the swearing of the new controller, that within a week or two, we're going to see that our finances are in terrible shape, and we need
Mhm.
competent people who know the rules, who know the players, but who also have understanding of where some of the creative problem solutions lie to our problems. And I think, what you just shared with us was an excellent example of why people must seriously consider Lauren Carter.
Thank you, Dr. Bob.
I mean, listen, and I'm only saying it, Ms. Carter, because because experience tells me this is so.
Thank you.
Right? A lot of times, I just want to also say this, because during the past 4 years, we know that too many people in Mount Vernon city government have devolved to the same level of immaturity that was on display at some of the worst chapters in the past. And you know what? I'm there. I'm sort of a little bit of a journalism guy. I talk to people, whether it's in public or in private. You've always comported yourself professionally, and I think we, would get more of that. And I think that's we're sorely lacking that at present.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bob. I was also going to say something, and like you, it slipped my mind. But I was going to add, I was going to add also, we have a lot of lawsuits. And that's one of the reasons. See, and people used to complain that the comptroller wasn't paying the bills. But what they didn't recognize, and I'm not making excuses for her, but what they didn't recognize was that there was no money to pay a lot of the bills. So she was faced with the challenge or the task of, am I going to pay the salaries or am I going to pay the bills? Now, and it was because I was in government, I knew that we didn't have money. That's the reason why I knew. But even the state comptroller verified that in a letter to the city in April. They said this budget that you produced really is not an accurate budget. You've overstated your revenues. You've added revenues that are not reoccurring. They're one-time revenues. That's not the way a budget is produced. And the state comptroller said, if you guys are not careful with how you spend your money, you could run out of money before the end of the year. Now, that's why some bills weren't being paid. But what saved us was the 21 million of ARP monies that came down from the federal government. That's what saved Mount Vernon. If it wasn't for those monies, we would have ran out of money by now. We have a $6 million lawsuit that was granted to, I believe it was $4 million. I'm sorry, to Gizzo. You just had now another a person that got a lawsuit. We still have Keela Tennis.
Wait. For everybody who don't know, Gizzo is the owner of Sue's, right? That's Gizzo, right?
I think that's the same Gizzo, but
I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah. But the lawsuit wasn't for Sue. The lawsuit was for on Broad Street, where he had the supermarket. And
okay.
Yeah. So there are so many lawsuits, and the insurance people say, "Oh, the insurance is not paying some of these lawsuits. The insurance company is not going to pay for Keela Tennis, not when."
Did Mega Beverage just win too, or Mega Beverage had?
Mega Beverage just won. Yeah, I think it's going to be about $4 million by the time his attorney's fees are paid, because the city has to pay his attorney fees. I mean, and Keela Tennis, the insurance is not going to cover that, because officials went in and destroyed property. How can the insurance company pay for what an official did? So I mean,
and it's on camera.
And this is why we need seasoned, experienced, knowledgeable council persons, because when the Thomas administration undertook a lot of these controversial actions, he was warned by many outside of city government that he was getting the city in for trouble. And we would likely pay a very hefty fine. And he was free to ignore it, in part because I don't think the residents of Mount Vernon had confidence that any of the city council members actually had an authoritative knowledge about what the constraints on his, mayor's his duty, his powers as mayor were. But if we would have had someone, a voice like your own, who had actually had an opportunity to see the dealings of the city government before and how these things played out, we might have avoided several of these very unfortunate actions that the mayor took that is going to cost, it seems like, by which I mean former Mayor Richard Thomas, that's going to cost the city probably, seems like we're looking about $10 million.
Oh, yeah.
4 or 5 different actions.
Minimum of 10. You're right. You're right. And I will say that perhaps maybe 1 or 2 council people were in favor of addressing these situations. But again, if you don't have a majority vote, that's why when it goes back to your question, AJ, you're 1 vote. And I will recognize that. That's why I would let the public know what's going on so that the public can also put pressure on the council people to do what's right. Let them know what the laws are, what the charter says, what action was taken, and what needs to be done. So this way the public is also getting involved.
So I want to. We actually went overtime, but that's not a problem because we're not in the studio. We can actually do that. But I wanted to give you a chance. Last words. I wanted to first thank you for coming on the show. I want to give you a chance for any last words. Why people should vote for you. Anybody who still does not know you wants to contact you, social media, website, anything like that. I want to give you a chance to do all that and give your last words why people should vote for you in the next election, the upcoming election.
Yep, I'm glad that I have been a guest now, officially a guest on People Before Politics. I've watched, but my first time being a guest. So thank you for having me on. And yes, early voting starts this Saturday, October 23rd. It ends on Sunday, October 31st. And the election, the last day to vote is Tuesday, November 2nd. The reason you want to vote for Lauren Carter is because you want to vote for a person who is a public servant. I'm not in it for a title and to be a celebrity and to get money. No. I just want to help this community. I'm passionate about Mount Vernon. A lot of people have lost hope, and I want to help restore the hope to the city. And I'm bringing experience that we so desperately need. I'm bringing competence, someone who knows how to get the job done and can get the job done. I'm bringing an independent voice, someone who's not compromised by outside interests and outside influence, so that I can be beholden to you, the people of Mount Vernon. You're electing someone that has a proven track record. Even if you don't know me, you didn't know me. There are people that I'm sure you know that may have had to have contact with me when they had to get service at City Hall, whether they came to a council meeting. So I have a track record of being able to work with people and having emotional intelligence. These are some of the many reasons you want to vote for me. To learn more, you can go to my website, lauren4citycouncil.com. That's LAUREN, the word 4, citycouncil.com. And Facebook is Lauren for City Council. Instagram is Lauren for City Council. You can get a link to all of my social media pages from my website.
Any last words for our guest, Dr. Bao?
No, Miss Carter, it's a pleasure seeing you finally on air, and I wish you luck. One last thing I will say, though. In addition to all of the personal qualities that Ms. Carter has demonstrated over the years that demands that we give her a fair look in her quest for city council, another reason why I think we must seriously consider Ms. Carter's candidacy is because she's running on the working family parties line at a time when the Democratic Party in the city of Mount Vernon has had a long-standing stranglehold on our politics. And while I most certainly detest Republicans at this point, the lack of competition, and I want to make that very clear, detest. AJ isn't otherwise. But the lack of competition for the votes in the city of Mount Vernon, I think at this point is doing the city tremendous harm. And the party leaders and elected officials from the Democratic Party in the city of Mount Vernon have demonstrated that they are unresponsive to our needs. And to elect Ms. Carter to office will fire a much needed warning shot across the political bow.
Yeah.
It tells them that they need to take seriously demands of the city of Mount Vernon, that our needs be represented with integrity, and that they stop coddling elected officials that they know are engaging in unethical, if not illegal behavior. Because this is not merely a problem of our elected officials. This is a problem of the Democratic Party in the city at this point.
Yes, yes. May I say one last thing? Dr.
Absolutely.
Bob, AJ, I just saw across the screen, I am on line 11D for David, Working Families Party line. I am 11D. George Latimer, our county executive, is on 7D. And Tim Iadoni, our county clerk, is for re-election on 8D. So you're going to vote Working Families Party line, 7D, Latimer, 8D, Iadoni, 11D, Carter.
Wow. So so D. So remember D for the Democrat that's on the Working Family Party line. So I want to thank you for coming on, and I did want to address, because I got a text message, so I did want to address. So we try to get all the candidates on as to get as often as possible, so people can make an informed decision. We hadn't had you on the show. We actually had you on WVOX when you announced, but we never got you on the show before the primary. So that is the reason why we got you on the show today. It is not necessarily showing you favor over the other candidates, but to give people a last look at you, because we didn't get a chance to get you on before the primary. So that's it. Whether people think that's fair or not, that was my decision, and that's what we did.
Right,
So,
yeah.
but that's the explanation for why. So, early voting is coming up on the 23rd. I implore everybody to go out and I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm just telling you to go vote, man. Vote. As you see in the primary, every vote does count. The last seat in the primary was won by 1 or 3 votes. I think it was 1 at one time, then it was recount, it was 3 votes. That means if 4 other people voted, there could have been somebody else running and for the general election. So that's just, we've heard like races by like 100, and the Maureen Mayor Davis race was like 101.
Yep.
Then we had the race with Judge Adrian Armstrong and Judge Michelle Johnson, and that was around 40, 30, but this race was 1, 3, like literally, like,
Yeah.
dude, like if that doesn't show you that every vote counts, like for real, like the importance of every vote counts, and for my people out there, not just Mount Vernon, but everybody who can hear my voice, again, you can't vote, go to sleep for 4 years or 2 years or whatever, and then wake up again and vote again. This is a participatory sport. You have a responsibility as a whole, and we have to get more involved, and we have to come out and let our voices be heard. And that's it. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, especially. I will make sure. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I did have to add, I've been endorsed even in the general election by James Jubilee, councilman. He endorsed me. He called me. He said, "Lauren, I'm crossing the line. I'm voting for you." There's a lot of people. Andre Wallace endorsed me, and there are other people, whether they're elected officials, current or former. I'm not going to say, or even some past candidates. Not going to say names because some people don't want to. but I just want to let you know that these are people that are supporting me. They understand the challenges, and they don't want to take a chance.
Well, I'll say one last thing, and I say it in every election: voting on another line other than the Democratic line does not mean that you're not being a good Democrat. Being a good Democrat does not just mean being blindly loyal to, to the party line. If you're a candidate, I've personally, Damon and I started the Mount Vernon Independent Party, and then when the chairman of the Westchester chair died, it kind of died with him. But I believe in third parties. I believe in open primaries, and I believe in everybody having a voice. But that's just me. So anyway, vote the best person for the best position. Go out and whatever you want. She told you how to get in touch with her. You've seen the other candidates. You know how to get in touch with them. Do your homework. Look into each candidate, and then you make a decision on what three that you want in there. That's your responsibility. Like I said all the time, you get the government you deserve because you get the government that you vote for. So at national level, state level, county level, local level, if you don't like who's in there, I mean, you get the government you deserve because you get the government you vote for. Or if you don't vote, the government you didn't vote for. For all y'all that figure your votes don't count. So with that, I just want to leave it out there. Make sure you follow up on the redistricting. Any questions that you have, hit us at blackwestchester.com. I will make sure we provide you all the information. Also, in the video of the show, you can watch again on either our Facebook channel or our LinkedIn channel or our YouTube channel. Watch it. You see something that you learned something today, you see something that you feel other people need to know, please share it on your Facebook page, your other pages. Share this with other people so we can get the information out there. With that said, to everybody out there, you could be doing anything else, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This has been Black Westchester Presents, the People Before Politics radio show. We are on every Sunday, 6 to 8, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And until next week, peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.